Hello and welcome to the Unapologetically Real with Neha Bhatia. I'm so excited because I am recording this particular podcast in the middle of the night. It's 12:08 a.m. and I have already received a lot of love from all of you when I was asking people that what should be the name of my podcast, the unapologetic Neha, the unapologetically real Neha, or you know the unapologetic podcast. So I thought, why not just let's be unapologetically real with me here, okay, and with yourself as well. So this is a podcast which I think is going to change a lot of your perspectives in the next couple of days, months, years to come, and I am really, really excited. And I have to tell you something that it's gonna be very real, okay? I'm not gonna do much of editing in this podcast. I'm just gonna be real and in flow. I always talk about the flow energy. I definitely want to make sure that this really touches your heart because it's literally a heart to heart chat with all of you, and you could be a man, woman. You could be having this feminine energy in a man. You could have a masculine energy in a woman, but the idea of this particular podcast is to not trade your authenticity anymore for anybody's approval. Because uh, we have been asking for approval a lot in our lives, haven't you? I mean, I think I became that person over the years. I used to be a pretty much a free person, bold lady. I've been given this term a lot. Oh, she's very gutsy. She's very bold. And then a time came into my life when I was like, oh my God, asking for approval all the time from people. Is this right? Is this right? Am I doing? Every single day of my life became um a day of approval, a moment of approval, breath of approval. And this literally sucked. So, and you know what? Many of you would not probably agree to it, but yes, we are looking for approvals a lot of time. And here I am being honest with you that yes, I have seen those shitty times in my life. And hey, by the way, is this podcast for children? Yes, it is. Just teach them those words that I'll probably be using in this podcast. But I wouldn't say, oh, use headphones so that the children won't hear it. No. In fact, children needs to hear this podcast even more because it really comes from our childhood, and especially when we kill that the inner child in us as we are growing up by having approvals of other people all the time for what we do, for what we feel, for what we are experiencing in our life. And this podcast is definitely, this conversation that I'm going to have with you is definitely about not being apologetic anymore. Okay? Not at all. So, fuck that apology because we don't need that anymore. And I'm going to use these words on my YouTube channel, which is more of a professional channel. But you know what? Sometimes these words really hit. Sometimes these terms really, really hit because these are the words which we use on a day-to-day basis. But when a person like me, who has been a trainer and who is teaching spirituality, and then if we don't use such words, we are termed as, oh, the gurus of this industry, the gurus of of other people. No, you know what? Sometimes these words hit you hard, so why not use it? And sometimes I use it. Sometimes I want to use it because I don't want to apologize for the language that I use. Because if it can change somebody's life, it can really bring that aggression in that person, then why not? I know a lot of people who try to be very, very sophisticated, very nice, and but deep down, they're missing aggression in their life. Okay, so please, 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 note that it's really here to I'm really here to be unapologetic. Okay, I don't owe any apology to anybody or anything, or or for anything. Whatever I've done in my life or will do in my life, I'll do it with pride, with confidence, and of course, keeping other people's, you know, keeping other people in my mind as well. I don't want to hurt anybody, but on the top of that, I don't want to hurt myself as well. Okay. So I just want to ask from you, like, think about it. Are you somebody who keeps asking for approval all the time in your life? Are you a woman or a man? Just write down in the comment box. Like, we all have a masculine energy and a feminine energy in us, and we all have that. But this podcast is definitely going to be about uh, literally being not just you, but being unapologetically you. Okay, a lot of us are being ourselves, but we're so apologetic. While I was thinking of this podcast, and what came to my mind was this scene of this movie called Lajja. Have you seen that movie? It's of Manisha Koirala, where this the father of Mahima Chaudhary, I think. Okay, and he's always asking for an apology. you know which used to be probably 20, 30 years ago a situation in a lot of Indian households, asking the father of a woman was always feeling apologetic of what he's doing. And a lot of our patterns and a lot of our habits come from there as well. A lot of our feeling of being so apologetic all the time comes from there. So I've also noticed, I'm gonna be real, there is literally no format of this particular podcast. I'm just going straight from my heart. Whatever is coming in my heart, I'm just speaking it out. you know I've seen this thing that a lot of us, uh, especially if you're spiritual, we start to be way too apologetic. If something is not going right in our life, we'll start to feel karma, 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 and we'll keep asking for forgiveness. you know, come on, come on, come on. Literally, I've done that, and maybe I've forgiven myself and I've forgiven other people. But you know what? We don't need that much. We don't need to be so much apologetic all the time. Sometimes it's not really our fault. Sometimes it's not really you know, uh, our mistakes, and sometimes it's just the situations, and you gotta be a little bit soft on yourself. And this podcast is definitely, especially this episode, especially for those people, who've been really hard on themselves. And you know what? I was one of those. I definitely have been hard on myself at one point of time, and it's definitely not a good feeling, not a good space to be in. And I've completely come out of it. And it's not once, it has been many, many times. And right this moment, when I'm speaking to you, I'm at a very, very free space. Okay, I'm not saying that I don't have problems or I don't have uh, challenges, but you know what, even in spite of all of that, I have me with myself. There were times when I was not with myself. and you know and it was difficult, it was challenging, and um it wasn't easy. So, if I can go back to a time in my life when I was very apologetic, uh, a lot, and that literally gave me my first anxiety attack. This was when I was in 10th standard, as if I committed a crime, more than probably even a terrorist would do. That I failed in my 10th examinations, and that was the first time when people in my family made me realize that what the fuck are you doing for your life? What are you doing in your life? What have you done in your life? You failed. You're a failure, And definitely, this was, that was not a good space to be in. I still remember this was when I had got my results, and we all were sitting together. and me and my family members, and I had a glass in my hand, and I still remember it was funny. I had a ruabza in that glass, okay, and everybody in the family was making me realize how pathetic a person I am and how such a loser I am, okay? Just because I failed in social studies in 10th standard. And trust me, I was never good at that subject. It just sucked. I mean, at that time also I used to think, why the hell are they teaching this in our, I was so ahead of my game at that time that I just hated going to school, but I was going because, we were asked to. And and I remember I almost tried breaking that glass in my hand. I couldn't. I was a failure at that as well. I tried because we've seen that in movies, right? So I tried breaking that glass in my hand as if I'm getting very angry at myself and I'm just gonna kill myself. But the glass didn't break, and oh, I feel at breaking a glass. So anyway, so I was definitely that feeling of being very apologetic started at much before my 10th standard, but it started to build up more, and it was more visible in my body, and that's the time I think when I had my first anxiety attack. Oh my God, it was such a drama in my house that everybody started to feel that, oh my god, she's gonna die, it is her last breath. And I remember my father called my sister saying that something is happening to Neha, and I didn't think that she's gonna survive that. But anyway, I survived that. So over there I think I don't have any apology. Okay, so I mean, it is pretty much it starts with a lot of having approval of other people, what they think, what they don't think, And this podcast is not for just, for a woman, because um even a man has that so much. Oh my God. I've sat with so many men, either just as friends or as my students, and oh my God, the kind of approval they always need. I remember I was sitting with this boy. He was taking a few sessions with me. This was last year in 2022, and he was gay. And it took him a few minutes to actually tell me. I mean, I figured it out long back, but it took me a few minutes to actually admit that he was a gay. Why? Because what would his family think of him? And more than that, what would happen to the image of the family? Let me say, Indian family, if they get to know that the boy is gay. I mean, the boy can also like the dick. Hello, you know. So I mean, it's like it can happen, right? And he needed that approval. So it's so much in us, and you know what? In this entire journey of my podcast that I'm starting, I hope I'm able to do more episodes before YouTube bans me, or any one of you bans me, saying that I'm using these words. But you know what? Let's be honest. We are not honest with ourselves. And that's why we suck. I mean, our life sucks, right? Sometimes. So I just want to be so, so freaking natural with you over here, as people really know me as, okay? When people come into my membership, especially, this is the side that they get, they get to see, okay? I avoid using such words because I also believe, and I also have talked about this in my book, that every word adds a certain frequency and energy. But a lot comes down to what space you are saying those words, or expressing yourself with. What space? I always talk about this. What space are you operating from, right? So if you're operating from a space of being absolutely clear and you know um, uh, unapologetic, of course, and being very stable and knowing what you're doing, then it won't be really bad. But of course, I wouldn't really encourage people to use these words, f words, or whatever the words I just will be using naturally in this podcast. But I'll be honest with you. I definitely want to be very natural and honest with you in this. And what is this podcast going to be about? I definitely don't know. It's just going to be about being very real, okay? So, and not just being real, but being unapologetically real with Neha Bhatia. So this was just the first episode. I hope you liked it. And if you do not like it, yeah, go ahead and unsubscribe. But if you liked it, please subscribe to this channel and give us your love. If you think that you have a friend or somebody who needs to hear this, who really, really needs to hear this, and I have seen people who wants to be pampered all the freaking time. Okay. And I am not one of those. But yes, there are times I like to be pampered. There are times when I want you know, a big one on my ass to get myself moving. So that balance needs to be there. And I want to be feminine and masculine both through this podcast. And I don't want to do a video podcast. I want to do this audio podcast because I know that I just want to connect with you. You could be somebody who could be my trainee. You could be somebody who could just be hearing me for the first time, probably hate me, probably love me. I don't know. Give me all that you have, I'll take it beautifully because, you know, I'm just being unapologetically real here. And I want you to be real as well. So, as I said, if you like it, subscribe. If you don't like it, I mean, you don't have to unsubscribe because we have a lot of other things also going on this channel. But you don't have to really necessarily hear this. But there is a different side of me coming out through this podcast. That different side has not come out in the last 6 years through my channel, and also through few videos of mine, of course, and mostly in my membership. When somebody is with me for 3 months, 6 months, then this side is more visible. And I really said to myself in the last few days, months, especially, I've been working a lot on myself of late, and right now I'm in the best space. Yes, a little bit of cold cough, but otherwise in the best space possible. I'm very centered. I'm very clear of what I'm speaking and who I'm speaking to. This is not for everybody. Really, this is not for everybody. This podcast is for those people who want to be real. Okay, and today, times that we are in 2023, we want to be real. Okay, we want to be very authentic. Or either we are doing our work, we are in a relationship, even when we are having sex, or when we are traveling, when we are going into deep silence, when we are connecting with ourselves, when we are doing business, we want to be real. Okay. And I really want to encourage that. So if you think you have a friend who needs to hear this, like I said, sometimes we need a spank. Maybe you would want to share this with your friend as well. And what is it that you really want to hear from me? Okay. I don't want to give you any gyan. I don't want to give you any knowledge. Knowledge part is different in the other videos, as we do the step by step methods, trainings, and everything. This is going to be just me talking to you, okay? And not showing my face, just my voice is enough to reach that heart of yours, and to reach that beautiful soul of yours, okay? So, and whatever I say, I'm not going to be apologetic about it because this is unapologetically real with Neha Bhatia. Thank you so much.